the Stand With Her podcast from Southwark. We're here today with a very special guest, Sean Daly, CEO of the Millwall Community Trust. Sean, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
Do you want to just start for everyone listening to say a little bit about yourself, what your role is and what the Trust does in the community?
Yep, sure. So like I said, I'm Sean Daly. I'm the CEO of the Trust. I've been here for about 8 years now. Before that, I spent 20 years at Charlton doing the same sort of role. And I've always been in community football or community sport because I think it's very important to have that passion to go out and use the football club to engage people of Southwark. As a football club, we have a big duty to help our residents. So the club built a charity arm of the club, so that's what the Community Trust is. And what we'll do is we'll use that badge to go out and help residents of Southwark around employment, physical education, getting into jobs, employment, antisocial behaviour, but we'll go out and support our residents with that. So last year we engaged around about 14,500 people within our programmes, and that's from the age of 4 years old with our toddler football right up to 100, because we have like walking football and stuff like that. And we've got a massive community, very diverse, and it's important for us to make sure that we reflect the work we're going to do in there. And that's what the club is all about at the moment, about helping, supporting the community. Nice.
And I noticed doing some reading, you've got your UEFA A licence, so you got all your qualifications coach, but you've decided for a long time now to go through sort of roots in the community, especially in South London, being an integral part of that community. What is it that's attracted you to always doing that sort of community focused work and doing the outreach side of things along with the coaching?
Yeah, so I'm very much about that. I do community work at Charlton, and I was working at the academy at the same time. So I used to say I had the best job in the world. I work with kids that are going to be very talented and inspire them to become professional footballers and get their dream. But my day job would be to work with the community and give them opportunities that they might not be able to get, but the football club could give those opportunities. And I think as you get older, you realise that, yes, you still want to give those opportunities for people to inspire and become professional footballers, but I used to get as much pleasure out of someone becoming a professional footballer and playing for England as much as somebody going out to play grassroots football, because that's what they're inspired to do. And I just felt, South London is such a great area to work in. It's very diverse, you're right near the city and everything else, and I just felt that as I got older, I wanted to put more into the community, so I gave up the professional stuff that I was doing and focused more on the community. And I loved every day that I spent at Charlton in South London. I've loved every day here, every day as well. Yeah,
and like you said, I think you've got that aspect of, I'm sure it's a nice moment for you when someone goes on and has a great football career, but for an individual to maybe come out, find a family in football, find it as a hobby, find it as a real integral part of their life. For that person, that's just as important to them as it is for the England player getting their first cap and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think very much focused is, but when you're in that professional game, it's just about football. You're in a community, and it might be you get somebody into a job, or you get somebody that, walking football, they're coming back from a long-term health issue and they get into walking sport and they're more active. A young person that, you work with in a school around numeracy and literacy, and they manage to pass their 11 plus or go to a school, or they achieve their reading even further, or those sort of things give me as much pleasure as somebody going off playing football. And I think community is more broader, more opportunities we can offer.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And obviously we're here for the Stand With Her campaign. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, first you want to start off with the work, specific programs that are going on and that are working with Southwark community, but then also, any specific programs that are going on to support women, not just in football, but women and girls overall.
Yeah, so if I look at some of my staff, when I first came in here, I would say that I probably had one female staff, and she was very much sort of like pigeonholed. She was front desk and she would be a greeter. If you look at my staff now, within that 8 years, my staff has totally changed to being 50% male, 50% female, which has totally changed the dynamics of my organisation, which is great. I think personally, and some of my senior managers, the change of people that are working in our place has totally changed us as an organisation for the better. And we're very much about how do we offer opportunities for everybody. We're an inclusive organisation. All our programs are inclusive, so they would be for boys and girls, male and female. So we would make sure that all our programs would be like that. So some of the programs we would do is, we have programs around employment, for instance. We will focus on looking at how do we get females into maybe industries that they would never ever think about. So one of my sponsors is Wicket Group. They're a construction company. So we do lots of work around them about how do we get females into the construction into the industry. Well, they may never have ever thought that as an industry to go into. We work around things around like the STEM industry, how to get into that sort of stuff. But all we want to do is offer opportunities and give people the process of getting into that opportunity. Whether they take it or not, it's a different matter. But we're trying to think out of the box on how we get people into certain industries, whether it's hospitality, construction, education, those sort of things as well. And then we do lots of activities that are focused just around female. So if I look at some of the sites we run in Southwark, so one of the sites we run is St Paul's. If you were to go up there on a Monday from 4 o'clock to till 9 o'clock when it closes, those activities are only for females. So it's a safe environment, but it's only females. So one of the things we run is a female girls academy, football academy, very much like you have a boys academy. We have one that is just for girls academy, just for female players. And that ranges from 10 years old up to 18 years old. Have good coaching. And then what they do is they go and represent Millwall Academy on a Saturday in a league against the Arsenal, Tottenham, etc. But one of the things that, it used to be run with the FA, but when I looked at the actual programme sort of like 4 or 5 years ago and I looked at it, I decided to revamp it altogether. Because when I looked at it, because it was funded by the FA, you were dictated by the FA how to run it. And when I looked at it, I realised that 85% of the girls that were playing for us were not from the borough of Southwark or Lewisham, the areas that we work in. They were from Greenwich, they were from Essex, they were from... Why would I want girls playing for Millwall or having that opportunity if they didn't do that? So we stopped the funding from the FA and we went alone and did it ourselves. So we started our own academy, which we fund. And now I would say it's the other way around. 90% of the girls that are playing are from Lewisham and Southwark. Because I want to give those girls those opportunities. But one of the big things in there is that I also want those girls to have role models. So we looked at the workforce that are actually delivering these programs. And if you look at it now, we have girl coaches that run it. Because I want those girls to be able to play and then look up and see someone that looks like them, plays like them, and then gets that role model from. So we've changed our workforce around our girls' academy. We also have a girls' lionesses. Football team that play in the Step 5, who've done well, just got to the first round of the FA Cup. And what the great thing is in Southwark, I've got that great facility, St Paul's, that we run. We have walking football that's all inclusive for female and male. So we try and make sure that all our programs are inclusive.
And I think it's great. There's that aspect of, like you said, the tangibles, the actual programs, but then just making sure there's actual women figures present in every situation, like you said about your staff. I think it's so different, just the dynamics of a workforce when you've got a diverse workforce and just hearing different people's opinions and you go, oh, never would have thought of that, because that's come from like a perspective of someone who's different to me and has that diversity of thought, and it definitely changes the way you work. And then the flip side of that, obviously when we're talking about and with her, we're talking about allyship and the role of men in feminism, the role of men in society in terms of playing a role towards helping women to, have safe spaces and to feel comfortable and to feel like, we're all in this together. So can I talk a little bit about, or ask you a little bit about how important you think it is that the men and the boys coming through these academies and coming through football, coming through wider communities and society are having access to the right male role models who show the right way to behave and how to be an ally, and, any examples you have?
Yeah, so a big thing is we do a lot of mentoring.
Yeah.
We do a lot of mentoring with young people. Our big thing as an organisation, and one of our values, is about respect and trust and being inclusive. And that is fed through all my staff, but that's not just fed through all my staff, that's fed through all the programmes that we do. So if you were to go into my indoor site, for instance, I have boards all around it, but we have our values on those boards.
Yeah.
And on that it will say about trust, respect and inclusivity. So we try to make sure that any programs that we do and any people that we engage, we try and get those values into them as well. And we will, as a football club and as a community trust and as staff, we're happy to put our head above the parapet and address those if it's not done. And we're willing to call it out. So, if a young person was disrespectful to anybody, my staff would pull that young person out and maybe educate them in a way from it. And I think if you're, young people will be attracted to a football club straight away and to my staff because they're wearing a football badge.
Yeah.
And that's our duty, to make sure that we educate that young person in not just the way they behave, but their lifestyle and what goes on outside, being within our programs.
I think that's really important. And then also we're very lucky today to be at the Den. One of my favourite places in terms of being a traditional, very much English stadium. And of course, you want it to be an intimidating atmosphere for away teams. But what we don't want is it to be an intimidating atmosphere for people to come down with families. We want women to feel comfortable coming down to the stadium. And how much of a role do you think the men in the stadium have with sort of, if they see something, being able to call it out, so that women do feel like they have allies and women do feel comfortable being able to come to a football match, even in a place where the fans are making it intimidating for players, but you don't want it to be that way for people coming with families.
Yeah, and I think it's football is very traditional. It's a men's sport, isn't it? For fans and that. We've put a lot of work in the last few years trying to make this we're a very family club anyway, but we've tried to make it even a more outreach family club. So we'll give away free of charge family tickets, about 500 per game, encouraging families to come to our stadium to enjoy it. Because my best day probably in my week is the day that I come here with my boy to sit for 90 minutes and just talk rubbish with my little boy, and my wife will come as well. And I would never have my family come to a place where I think it's intimidating, that they'd not be welcome. Yeah. So we'll give out about 500 tickets to each game to Southwark residents, but there'll be family tickets where mum's got to come with dad, with the children, and enjoy it. And we've got family stand over there, which is just over there, and they'll be in that area with families. And then it's seeing is believing. You come in and, it's not the place I thought it was going to be. We have a family fan zone, which is just open to families, where it's got inflatables in it, penalty shootouts, and mascots come over. We're trying to get the families to come in, but to have that little bit of time with your family on a Saturday, 90 minutes or a couple of hours, where you can forget everything that's going on outside work, free of charge, to come here to the game and then watch it. But we have lots of campaigns around here that we won't tolerate people being disrespectful for people, and you can see from everywhere we've got things up that say, hear hate, don't hesitate. And we call fans out that if you hear of any disrespect or any hate going on around here, text this number and it will be dealt with immediately. We'll have stewards here that will come in. But you look at the people that will work here on match days. There's male and female working here on match days, but we're trying to encourage as many families and children to come into this stadium and enjoy it as a family. Yes, there'll always be that intimidating place, that fans will be like it. But one thing we have got from the fan base is they are very proud of the work that the Community Trust does. And, they know in the family zone there'll be 500 children, 500 families in there, or 500 tickets of people in there, and they'll be very respectful for it. And we'll total probably about 6,000 tickets we'll give out a year to Southwark residents to come in and do that.
That's really important, isn't it, for the people of Southwark to know that this is not just a place for football, but it's actually a hub of the community, and it's a hub for families and for people to come together and enjoy something. So the next question is a bit, you might have a funny example, or it can be something that's difficult, which is men speaking up in allyship of women, but sometimes not knowing how to frame it because you don't know the right thing to say, or you don't know whether you're actually being, you don't want to be like condescending when you say something. What would you say? I'm sure you've seen many examples of that, but I always think it's actually people appreciate the intent behind something, right? Yeah. And if people can see your motivations are in the right place, it is good to say something and speak up. But
yeah, I think we encourage that all the time, that they people address stuff and challenge it. But it's very important is that wording is very important. Yeah. And I was very much about when we had the girls' academy, is how you coach a female is very different how you would coach a male person, and some of the language you could use possibly with a male person is not what you could use with a female. So we did a lot of work around the PFA and the Women's Football Association about getting the right people in the right place to do it. Now, I put my foot in it every time I go home. I was saying to my wife that you can't say that to me. Like,
we all do.
Yeah, but you learn by it, don't you? And you have a laugh at it. But exactly what you said is it's done in the right way. But I think, definitely as an organisation, I think my door is open every day. And if a member of staff felt that something was said, they would come in and see me, or they would address it. And I think I've got the right staff in there that they would happily go to those staff and talk about that as well. But I think also, and I think I said it earlier on, is that if you're putting the right values and the trust into young people and putting that time into them and the participants on our programme, someone will challenge it. Yeah. And someone will happily say, you can't speak to me like that, or you can speak, So I think by the programmes and setting those sort of code of conduct early, I think that will naturally happen.
Yeah. Something that we're also talking about with this campaign is you hear a lot, often now the word masculinity gets attached to negative connotations, because, you hear the term toxic masculinity being thrown around and other things like that. What we want to talk about is positive masculinity, which is, male role models doing the right thing, knowing how to behave in a way that shows, as I said, that allyship. So I think it's really important that we are showing that, behaving in a masculine way is actually the top definition of that, is being a good role model and being someone who is not afraid to say something where they see it need to be said. So looking forward, obviously you've already spoken so much about the tangible program. It sounds like you've got a lot of work on. So
not me, by the way. It's my staff that do it all. I do nothing. They do it all. I don't do anything.
So on that note, what do we have to look forward to in terms of what's coming from the Community Trust, and what projects are you working on at the moment, or that might be coming to fruition in the next few years? I guess the next targets for you.
So one of the things that we've brought in this year is that as a community trust is, the club has been running 140 years, and we've been 40 years of us working in Southwark. So there'll be a few celebrations that we're going to be doing this year. But one of the things that we have brought in is that we want to recognise the history of the players that played for this club. Mm-hmm. So we brought in a former Lions association, which we launched in the beginning of the season, run by the Trust. And then every game we will honour people that have played for Millwall. Yeah. But part of that honour is that we have a Lionesses team as well. So, and it was not as big as the men's team. So every match that we induct somebody into our honour, into our Hall of Fame, we induct one of our female players as well. So that will continue to the end of the season, and then we'll take that into next season. So we have got a few celebrations coming on. Blackburn is going to be our community day, which is an unbelievable day up here. The stadium is given over to the Community Trust. And it's an opportunity for us to highlight all the work that we've been doing in the borough. So we will have things like the mascots will be kids off our programmes. Nice. Which is kids that will never get an opportunity to be a mascot and walk out with the players. Our Guard of Honour, which is the people with the flags, are our Girls' Academy. Nice. All the participants, so we'll have about 800 participants, will walk around the pitch at half-time, and that's from our toddler soccer to our walking football to our player development centres to our military programme. Everything will get here, and it will just be a day that will be sort of like given over to the Community Trust to recognise all these people involved in it, and the whole day will be showing the good stuff that we are doing. Yeah. But what we try and do is we don't just go away and set our programmes up to how we think that it should be done. We try and work with the needs of the council. So the council have got their 7 objectives they want to do around health and housing and stuff like that. So we'll try and set programs up around that. You know, dealing with antisocial behaviour, getting people into employment. Well, if they get them into employment, that's the process of them buying a house and then staying in the borough. You know, if you do stuff around health, well, if we're doing lots of physical activity in schools and outside schools, that's a health dealt with. So we will just try and get our programs this year aligned with everything that the council want.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And like you said, there's so many people who do have lifelong roots in this borough.
Yeah.
So many families, you know, probably a lot of the fans who come here, they want their children and their grandchildren to be able to sort of have those opportunities to stay in the borough with the housing and with the jobs. So something we are asking every guest to do to finish off is to make a pledge. So this is a sentence you might start with, I pledge to stand with her by, and then it could be something that you're going to do on a personal level, like not annoying your wife. Impossible.
Is she going to see this pledge though? That's the problem, she sees this pledge.
Or it could be something that you're going to do, you know, like I said, with your team, or your amazing team who you work with. So just anything that you want to say going forward that you're going to pledge to do.
Yes, so my pledge is to ensure that my staff and my organisation reflects the community, how diverse the community is, and then to make sure that we are educated to deal with the diverse role that we have and the work that we're going to do. So if my staff would need training, or we would need to address things, but my thing is to make sure that us as an organisation get ourselves in a good place to work with the diverse community we have.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Sean.
Thank you.
It's been amazing, you know, I think for myself and for everyone else to learn about the level of work that goes on in and around the community and that you and your team are doing. So
no, thank you so much. You're welcome down here anytime, not with Coventry though. No, thank you for everything. Appreciate that.